Okay, so welcome to Mamut Academy. Today's course is going to be the contact management, and we're going to be looking at the CRM side of the Mamut business software. So just to go over what we're going to go through in today's course, we're going to be concentrating, as I said, on the contact management side of things. We'll learn how to create a new customer or a new contact, and we'll learn then how to segment our customers in whatever way that we want. We'll talk about the tabs that are being shown. There are lots of different tabs, and I'll be going through what they are and what they mean. We'll then be looking at activities. Activities are a very, very large part of what we're going to be going through today. We'll then also have a look at documents, and I'll be showing you how to create another document. And finally, we'll finish off by having a look at all the settings surrounding the contact management. So please do remember to take notes as we go through the agenda items. If you aren't taking notes, don't worry too much, as the recording for this training course will be delivered to you via email a bit later on today. Okay, so if you do have any questions as we go through the agenda items, please do feel free to type into the chat area on the bottom right-hand side, and I'll be more than happy to answer any queries. Okay, so let's move over to a demonstration in the software. So in just a moment you should be able to see my computer screen as I'm just about to share my application with you. Okay, so hopefully now you should be able to see my computer screen, and we can see that I have clicked into the contact management focus area on the left hand side, and I can see all the things surrounding the contact, which is right in the center. Now, the way that the system is designed is that it is designed to increase workflow and speed up data entry, and not having to re-enter data, and to be able to find information about your customers all in one place. Now, that place is the contact itself, which you can see right in the middle. And really, the way that the system is designed is that the contact is the center of the universe. Everything revolves around the contact. So the very first thing that we're going to learn today is how to create a brand new contact on our system. So a contact can be a customer, can be a supplier, or also any other contact that you may wish to have on the system. So first of all, I'm going to click into contact, and we come up with a blank screen over here. There's nothing being filled out, so we can start filling things out and seeing where everything goes. So first of all, right at the very top, this is where we enter the company name of the contact that we are concerned about. So I have created a fictional company here, which is what we're using today, and it's a sweet shop. So today I'm going to create a customer who is Mars. Okay, so I type in the company name. Maybe it's Mars Limited or something, so I can put the full name in there. I then go down to address, and I can then start typing in the address. Okay, so I type in the address. Once I've typed in the address, it's best to actually click on the word address, because what that does is it takes your information and double checks it. So you can see that it's split the street with the town and the postcode. And if I wanted to add in a county or anything like that, I can make any changes here to make sure that the fields are going into the right place within the database. You can see that it predicted right this time. Most of the time it will, but every now and then, if you're entering a particularly long address or something like that, you'd want to make sure that the fields are accurate, so that when you run a mail merge or something of that nature, all the fields will go into the right place. So you simply click OK after that has happened. So the next thing down there you can see is a little arrow underneath address, and it says invoice there. You can see that what that allows you to do is to actually enter in different addresses onto the system for one particular contact. So I can enter in an invoice address, a delivery address, maybe a registered address, and one other, which you can see described here. You can actually have more addresses than that by clicking onto the three little dots. If you can see that next to address, that opens up a new window, and you can see that all the addresses are there, and it allows me to then click new and to create more addresses than what is the specified default. We can then go down to telephone number, and we can enter in our telephone number, and the system again allows you to actually enter in 2 different telephone numbers per customer. Remember, this won't be a direct dial telephone number to a particular person. This is likely to be the main switchboard number for the company. We can also then do the same with the fax number as well, and also the email. We also have a head office feature as well, which allows us to create a hierarchy of customers. So for example, we may have Mars Limited, which is the head office, and then we may have lots of subsidiaries as well, which we all deal with, all of those subsidiaries, but we invoice only the head office. Okay, so you can enable that feature, and I'll be showing you that a little bit later on where we actually enable that. We then have our reference, and down here you can see that the drop down doesn't contain anything at the moment. The reason being is that this will actually show me a list of everybody who works within my own company. When I've got all the employees set up, they will appear here, and I can assign certain people within my company to actually look after this account. So that's the basic information about the company that we've put in. Everything to the right of that, the right at the top, is the segmentation part of the software here. So the first way we can segment them is by marking them as a customer and or a supplier. And we also have 2 further tick boxes which say partner and private. So it allows you 4 different ways in which you can segment your customers. You're allowed to have overlaps, like you can see that this is a customer and a supplier. I could also customize these 2 fields which you can see here, one which says partner and one which says private. These can be fully customized so they can say whatever you want. So let's say I want to not only know if they're customers or suppliers, but I also want to know if they are members of the Federation of Small Businesses. Okay, as I don't have any private contacts or partner contacts. So I'd like to change, say, private to reflect that. So what I need to do is I need to save this window and come out of it, and I need to go to the settings. The settings button is shown at the top here. It's the little card with a hand holding it, pointing down. That is the settings button. It's very important that you remember this because you'll have to set up quite a few things before you start using the program. Now I haven't dived right into the settings to begin with, as I want to show these to you slowly once you understand what the settings actually do. So when I click into settings, you can see that the settings are categorized into these different categories. You've got user, company, accounting, security, reports, and other settings. Now the main 2 types of settings are the top ones here. One is user and one is company. Now user settings are those which are specific to the user who is logged in, myself in this case. So what is it that I want to see? What is it that I want to have set as defaults? Those all come under user settings. Any other settings which are then company-wide, so which affect all users, bring in new features or take out features, are all company settings. So changing the wording of those segmentation areas is going to be a company setting. So I click into settings and then company. That then opens up a new window, and that then allows me to go to settings per module, which is the second tab in there, the middle tab, and here you can see all the different modules here. So obviously the settings that we want are going to appear under contact management, as that's where we want to make the change. So I click into Hello, can you hear me now? Hi, sorry about that. I accidentally clicked the mute button on my microphone and didn't realize. I do apologize. Let's go back to the application. Okay, so I'll just go back to the screen and just explain what I was doing. I was having a look at the company settings for the contact module, and over here what I had done was I had changed the word private to now say FSB, which is what I've just highlighted. Now on the left hand side I wanted you to note that we can change the word status, line of business and category to be whatever we want as well. So just keep that in mind, but I was basically showing you where I changed private to be FSB. So I close all those windows, all the settings windows, and I go back to contact, and that change has actually been made for me. You can now see that I can actually click into FSB, and I can now use that as a field to search upon later and to report upon. Okay, so that's the very, very basic segmentation of our contacts. Now underneath that, we have three drop-down boxes. We've got status, which is supposed to be used for what type of customer is it? Is it a lead? Is it a sale? Is it a prospect? We then have line of business, which then should show you which industry this company is in, and we've then got category, which is then what type of customer is it, depending on what type of price structure you've set up for different types of customers. Now each one of these is fully customizable, so I've shown you where you can actually change the wording of these different areas. So for example, status might be something that you just don't use within your company. You only have customers, you don't deal with prospects and leads and things of that nature. So you'd like to actually change that to be where this customer has actually come from, so the source. Okay, so I'm just going to come out of this screen, and I'm actually going to go back into the settings, the same place where we were before. So contact management, and I'm going to change status to actually say source. I then click OK, and close those windows down. And when I next go in, you can now see that it says source. But obviously the drop-down menu is not correct now. It doesn't make any sense to source. So we need to change the drop-down menu. Now the menus are completely customizable. Okay, you simply right-click wherever you've got a drop-down. If there is the ability to be able to change the drop-down options, you right-click. You then choose Change in Properties Register, and you then see the entire list. Okay, so if you just bear with me 1 second. Okay, so I was just going back and removing the element that I'd used previously. So you right-click, you go to Change in Properties Register, and you see the entire list here. So what you can actually do is delete out all the options by simply selecting them and clicking on Delete, and they just disappear. Okay, so they've gone. They do not allow you to delete something that's obviously been used, which you saw just a little while ago. So I want to create some new options here. So I go to New, I type in Google. Maybe I also want to put in Yellow Pages. Maybe also 192.com. TV advert. Radio advert. And Telegraph newspaper. So you can see that I'm building up a list of places where my customer might have come from. So obviously you can keep building upon that list. I haven't exhausted it. I've done a very basic one so you can see how it works. I simply click OK, and you can now see that that allows me to pick what I actually want. So I want to say that the source of this company was through the Telegraph newspaper, this one advert that I had placed, and that's how they came to become a customer of mine. I can do exactly the same with line of business as well. I'm not going to do so in this instance. I'm just going to mark them as a food industry. But obviously you can do so if you want to. We also then have category. Category, although it will allow you to manipulate it in whatever way that you want, category is slightly special in that these are the categories of customers to which you offer different price structures. Okay, so your retail price will probably be to a customer. You may then have a distributor price, or a retailer price, or a wholesaler price, which you can see here. So according to however much, if you use that feature or not, you can then choose a relevant option. Okay, so we're already starting to segment our contacts quite a bit. The bits on the right, which you can see these white boxes, segment our contacts and customers even further. We've then got our user-defined fields at the very top. So if I click into the user-defined fields, I can see that I have got a few things in this drop-down that I can choose already. I've got contract expiry, so maybe I have a contract with Mars and I want to be able to report on the date of the contract expiry. You can also see that I've got founded date, industry code, and industry text. Well, they don't actually mean too much to me, but then there are a few other things that I would like to know instead. So I'm just going to right-click and go to Change in Properties Register. I'm just going to edit this contract one, change that capitalization. And then I'm just going to delete out the other ones that I don't use. So I've got contract expiry, which is a date. I also want to know how many employees a particular company has, because that is relevant to my business. So I click New, and I can type in number of employees. I can then choose the type of value. So this is obviously going to be number. I've got a choice of text, numerical, or date. So number is going to be relevant there. So I click that. You can see that number of employees is now there. I'm also going to create one other one, which might be something like turnover. Maybe that is appropriate for me. I need to know that for some particular reason, how I run my business. So turnover is obviously going to be a number as well. So I click OK, and it puts those in. So first of all, I'm going to use contract expiry, and I'm going to put in an expiry date. And it puts in that expiry date in plain sight so I can see when that expires. I can then add in any of the other fields as well, so number of employees, 478, and also what is their turnover, so I'll just stick something in there, so just so that we can see what's going on. So now we can see that whatever user-defined fields I have are shown to me straight away when I go into the contact. That's the first thing. And second of all, it allows me to report on that. So for example, I've got contract expiry, which is just running by date. I may wish to see a report or send a report to my sales team of all the people who are expiring in the next month, so that my sales team can chase them up for renewals. Okay, so these sorts of things can be added very, very easily into the user-defined fields. We then have group, and group in a way is very, very similar to user-defined fields in that it is user-defined, but it actually creates sets of your contacts. So we can see by clicking into it that we've got different sets which are set up already, but you can actually customize these as you can customize everything else in this software by simply right-clicking and going to change in properties register. Well, there are a few in here that I don't want, so maybe I want to get rid of those. I'll leave press release and VIP information as I've used them elsewhere. But what I want to do is I want to actually segment and group together my customers in certain areas so that I can assign them to particular teams or something of that nature. So I'm going to create a new one and I'm going to call it London. I'll then create another one and call it Southwest. Then new again, Southeast. Now I'll just create another one quickly, which is called Scotland. Okay, so you can see that I'm beginning to then create my different groups. I can then click OK, and then I can choose which group I want to select them into. I don't have to just select one group, I can select multiple groups. Obviously the area ones are not going to make a whole lot of sense if I send them to lots of different areas, but I send the press release and the VIP information as well. And obviously that will then allow me to run a report on all of these different fields and to query upon that. So for example, I could run a report to say, okay, I want a list of all my customers who are not suppliers but are from the Federation of Small Businesses and are expiring in the next 6 months with employees over 500 and are located in London. So you can be very, very specific with the information that you pull out if you use all these segmentation areas to the fullest. The notes area down over here simply allows you to go in and to type in some notes. So for example, okay, so only Sal to contact this customer, only I'm allowed to contact this customer. I put on a note onto the system, it's time-stamped that note, and it has also left the name of the person, who was myself, as to who actually made that change. And you can see that I've just simply typed in only myself to contact this customer. Okay, so the notes isn't really designed to be used for any lengthy note-taking. It's the short, sharp, important, pertinent information that you would like to see on your main contact page when you click into it. Okay, so down below, you can now see that I've got a number of tabs which are coming through. Dependent on your settings, different tabs will be displayed. Now these settings are going to be user settings because they are specific to the user that is logged in. So I'm logged in as myself, and I want to change what tabs I'm actually being shown. Now at the top of most screens that you come to in Mamut, you will see that there is a toolbar, and you will see that it actually puts a user settings and sometimes company settings as well button at the top. The user settings button takes me straight to the right place within the settings, so I don't have to navigate in the same way that I did when I was going to the company settings earlier on. So I've opened that up, and you can see that I'm looking at what's called the default setup, and I've got three options. I've got simple, normal, or advanced. I'm going to start off with simple, so I'm simply clicking onto simple, click OK, and you can see that the number of tabs has been reduced. I can see only 3 tabs: contact persons, activities, and other information. Now those are the most important tabs for the customer service side of things. But I would like to have the opportunity to be able to see others. So if I then go into user settings, and this time select advanced, and click OK, you can see that I have a lot more tabs now coming through, more than I had to begin with. Again, they all perform different tasks. But I don't want to be just limited to those 3, which were simple, normal, and advanced. I want to manually pick which ones I want, which are important to my particular role within the organization. So by looking at the tab at the top, which says tab, you can see that I can manually select which ones I want. So I'm going to deselect quotation, I'm going to deselect accounting, I'm going to deselect timesheet input, deselect project, and also product. I then click OK, and you can then see that it simply shows me the ones that I want to see. And really those are the tabs which I need to go through during this training course, so I've removed all the others which are less relevant right now. So now that I've manipulated which tabs are being shown, let's actually take a look at what these tabs are for and what they actually do. Now the first one on the left is called Contact Persons. At the moment we have entered in Mars Limited. We have not yet said who is the person that we speak to at Mars Limited. Is there one person, or is there more than one person that we talk to? So I want to create a contact person. So I simply go to New. It opens up a new window, and then I have a first name, last name field at the top. So John Smith is my contact there, so I type in his name. I've then got telephone number, so I can then put his direct dial telephone number in. I can put his mobile number in, and his email as well. I can then select which department he's in. Don't need to, but obviously more information on there, the better it's going to be when I'm searching later on. So I'll leave that as administration. Remember, whenever you see a drop down, you can right click there and change in properties register. I've already shown you how to do that, so I won't do that again now. I can also then choose the job title, so maybe the development manager, and this is a Mr., so I'll select that. I simply click save, and I close that, and it puts in John Smith there. We also have a relationship with the receptionist there, who we regularly call up and make sure that all our orders and things are going through correctly. So I want to put her onto the system as well. So I simply go to New at the bottom again. So I type in the name. So I've typed in the name there. Lisa Whiteman. I can then fill out the telephone numbers, etc. Email addresses. I won't bother doing those now. You simply click Save once you've entered in all the information, and you exit, and it puts in the second contact underneath. The first one that you can see is actually the default contact. It was the first one that I entered into the system, so it selected it automatically as the default. If I ever want to change the default, I can do so by simply double-clicking, and so I'm looking at Lisa Whiteman right now, so I can then go to Other Information, and I can mark them as a default. So I can then click Save, and when I come out of that, you'll now notice that Lisa is now the default, and Lisa is now in bold. Okay, so this way you would build up an entire staff list of everybody that you have contact with within that organization. Any questions so far then? I haven't had many questions coming through. You can type into the chat area to ask any questions. If there are no questions, then we'll continue. The next tab along is the Activities tab. Now, activities are very, very important, as this is where the whole customer relationship management actually comes into play. So, what are activities? Activities are events that have happened in the past and events that are likely to happen in the future. So these are any type of contacts that you have with your customer, whether it's you sending an email to your customer, or the customer returning an email to you, or whether you've sent out a letter, or you've had a telephone conversation, or you've had a meeting, or you've booked a meeting into the future. All of these are activities and need to be logged as such. So basically, every time you talk to the customer or the customer calls you, you would come to this screen, you would click on Activities, and you would click New, and enter in whatever type of activity it is that you're doing at that point. So first of all, I'm going to take you through a very simple activity where we are just booking a telephone call. We've called Lisa of Mars Limited to have a chat with her about her latest invoice, and we just want to log that. So under Subject, I'm going to put in telephone call. I've got the time and the date, so the date is correct and the time is approximately right. I'm not too bothered about the time right now because this is only a telephone call. It wasn't a meeting of any sort. So I go down and I choose the relevant type. So I'm choosing telephone out. If you can't find the type of activity, remember all activities are different for each company, you simply right-click and create the new activity that you want. I've then got the status. So is it completed? Am I waiting for someone? Well, she actually requested more information, and I've passed that over to one of my colleagues, so I'm going to say waiting for someone. I can choose somebody who's responsible for this. Now, I haven't set up any employees, which is why I'm not getting anything in this drop-down, but whichever employee I select here, it is going to be their Outlook that gets sent this activity, either as a task or a calendar invite, depending on what type I'm selecting. I can then show time is busy. It's probably less relevant for a telephone call, and I can also color mark it as well with the Outlook colors. Other than that, I click into Notes and I actually type in what it is that I spoke to Lisa about. Okay, so I've just typed in something basic there. Phoned Lisa to discuss her latest invoice. Needs to be corrected, so passed over to accounts. Okay, so I've left a full history of what it is that I'm doing. I then come out of that window, and you can now see that it's been put into the system there, and it's leaving that information on. So now now Lisa has called me, and she wants to book some time for a meeting, which is going to be tomorrow. So I'd like to actually log that onto the system as well. So I simply go to New. I put in the subject, let's call it Meeting. I can then choose the date and time, so it's going to be tomorrow, so I'll mark it as the 6th. I can then choose the time, so it's going to be at 3 o'clock tomorrow, and it's going to be a couple of hours till 5 o'clock. The type is going to be Meeting. I want an alarm, and I want the alarm to be 1 hour before, just to remind me. The alarm will show up in Outlook as well as MBS. You get a little window like you do in Outlook where it tells you the information and then allows you to dismiss it or to snooze. So I've got all that functionality. I'm going to put the priority to high, and I'm also going to color mark it and enter in some information. So okay, so meeting with Lisa to discuss the plans for Q1 and 2 2010. Okay, just a little bit of information, but obviously the more you type in there, the easier it will be for you to recall what it is that was going on between you and Lisa at that time. So I simply click Save and exit out of that, and you can see that that meeting is then being booked in. Remember, because the meeting because this software synchronizes with Outlook, all of that information will be going through into Outlook, into the relevant person's calendar, and also the tasks will be going through as well. So that's really what activities are used for, and it is a very, very fundamental part of the contact management on this system. Okay, so let's continue. Please do feel free to ask any questions by typing into the chat area. The next one along is documents. Now, documents is where you can attach any type of document, whether it's a Word file, or whether it's a PDF, or whether it's an image, or whether it is any other type of file, even a movie or a sound file you could attach to a particular contact. The contact in this case is Mars. So this is where we actually do all of that. I've then got a question from Susan Cox. Can the alarm show anywhere other than Outlook? The alarm, you see, is shown on Outlook, which synchronizes with this product. So the alarm will be shown not only in Outlook, but also in MBS. So if you've got MBS open, that will also give you the alarm. If you've got Microsoft Exchange server set up properly, you may have that synchronized with your mobile phone. Sorry, MBS is Mamut Business Software, so the software that we're actually looking at, this will give you an alarm which is similar to the alarm that you actually get in Outlook. As I was saying, that if you've got your Exchange server set up correctly, then you can actually have those different meetings and things actually going through to a person's individual mobile phone. You can have alarms going through to your phone, and also the meeting requests, etc. So it's already set up to go so that you can obtain all this information either on the go, or from Outlook, or from MBS, which is Mamut Business Software. Okay, I hope that answers your questions, Susan. Okay, so let's continue where I left off. We were talking about the documents. So this is where we attach documents to this file. Now, because we had a contract expiry, that obviously means that there is a contract between Mars and ourselves, and we want to actually just attach that contract onto here so that we've got access to it whenever we want. And the way we do that is we simply go to this button here which says Import Documents. When I click into there, I can then go and simply select a document that I want. So I'm just going to select one of these. It's just a Word file, it doesn't mean anything, but you would obviously select the relevant one. You click Open, you're then told to give it a heading, so I'll just call it Contract. I can put in dates and reference numbers and things like that. I don't want to bother with that really, so I just click Save and Exit. Okay, I've already saved that before. Let me just make changes, and now it should allow me to save it. So that has now been saved here. To open it, all I need to do is double click, and straight away it opens that up for me. I'll need to share that with you so you can see. So it's opened up Word straight away. Now I can also use this document tab to actually create mail merges very quickly. So if I click New over here, I can then give it a heading. So let's just call it Test Letter. I can choose the author and project and things like that, and choose the template. And I'm just going to write in to the template here because I know how this particular template works. Okay, I've just typed something in there. Hi, thanks for your query. Please find our latest price list attached. Okay, so very, very straightforward, very simple. I simply click on Create Merge, and it goes away and creates the letter straight away. Now, this template isn't fantastic. It needs a lot of editing, and you can see that it is very basic. So you can see that it's done the mail merge with the company name, etc. But it's not really what I want at this stage. So if I just close that, I don't know if you are able to see that actually. It's just opening up. Just bear with me 1 second. You can see that it's done a basic mail merge. The letter isn't very great. You can see you've got the name of the letter and then the information that I typed in. But I want to actually create one myself, the template, and then use the template myself. So I'm going to then come out of this screen because I want to create a template, and the templates are actually created in Document List over here. So I click into Document List. You can see the documents I've actually been adding already. And what I'm going to do is go to this button over here, which is the Document Templates. So you do need to know that. You click into that, a new window opens up, and here I can actually create brand new templates. So I'm going to click on New. I choose a program, so it's going to be Word. And I give it a template name. So I'm going to call this Letter Sweet Shop, and I'll just call it a letter. And then what I simply do is I click OK. What that then does is that then opens up Word for me. And it doesn't just open up Word. What it's actually done is that it's actually connected Word to Mamut, the software, and it's actually created the merge fields over here. So you can see I've got Insert Merge Field. So I'm just going to go through and add in some of these fields, and then what I'll do is I'll format them in just a moment. So that's the addresses. I'm choosing client name and address, zip code. Then I want to have the contact's first name, then the contact's surname. Then right at the very end, I want to have the author. And then the very last thing, I'm going to add in a field which is called body text, which will allow me to put on a personalized message onto the end of the letter. So at the moment it doesn't look much like a letter. I need to actually customize it. I just need to get on and do the formatting. Obviously you can take your time and you can make yours look very, very nice. I'm doing mine very quickly, so mine probably won't look that as good as your ones, but hopefully you're understanding what I'm doing here. So let's put it on the right hand side. Just click into here and type in dear, and contact's first name, space, surname, comma. Okay, I'm just writing a very, very brief letter. Yours sincerely, got the author, and then underneath the author, I'm actually going to put the body text. Okay, you've actually got all the functionality of Word. So if I wanted to bring in a picture, maybe I have a logo. Here's my Sweet Shop logo. So I'm just going to quickly add that in. Stick that over here. So you can see that I've made a very basic letter. I've also then got all the different shapes and things to play with as well. So maybe I want to draw a couple of lines. I don't know. Something of that nature. Just to make it look a little bit less like a plain letter. That will do. All I do then is I click save. I do not need to worry about where it is being saved or anything like that. And I just close that, and you can see that letter Sweet Shop is now being saved there. Now, I hadn't actually created an employee onto the system so that I could start using the fields like author and responsible person. So I'll show you where that is done. So we go to View and go to the Employee Register. And here I can create an employee. So I'm just going to put in my first name and my last name. Okay, so just save that and come out of that. So now when I go back into Contact, I will be able to assign myself to be the person who then is the person who looks after Mars. And under Documents, we can now use that document that I've just quickly created to actually do a mail merge. So what I do is I come into the Documents, I click on New, I give it a heading, so I'll call it Letter. I can choose the date, I can choose the author, I choose the template, so I'm choosing letter, Sweet Shop, and then at the end, do you remember I put in that body text field? Well, over here, I'm going to use that as a PS field. Okay, so please remember to check our website for our latest offers. And quite simply what I do is I click on Create Merge, and that will use all the information, including the template, and produce my letter. So you can now see that Word has opened up and my letter has been created. It's got all my details. So I've got my company details over here, their company details over there. The letter is entitled correctly. I've actually got the addresses the wrong way around, but no, that's okay. And at the bottom you can see it's signed it with my name, and you can see I've got remember to check your website for our latest offers, that PS thing which I wanted to add in. So you can create any type of document. It doesn't have to be a letter. It could be a flyer which you want customized with your customer's name, etc. You can do pretty much anything. You can create templates in Word, PowerPoint and Excel should you want to do so. So that's really the Documents tab. We then have a tab which says Sales and Invoicing, and I'm not really going to be showing you how this works as this is covered in the Sales and Invoicing course, but the idea is that from within the contact I will be able to view down here a list of all of my different sales. Susan has then asked a question if you can email the mail out as well. You can do so. There's other options also to do with emailing, which I'll be showing you in just a moment, but you can obviously also email those letters too. So under the Sales and Invoicing, you use this to view old sales, which will be listed here, and also to create new sales by clicking on New, and that will go through the whole sales process for you there. Exactly the same with the purchases. Obviously the purchase only shows up if it's marked as a supplier, and the Sales and Invoicing only shows up if they're marked as a customer. But you can see here where you'll be able to create a new purchase or view your old purchases, which will be listed down here. We then have other information which allows us to put in some basic information about the organization Mars here. So we can put in maybe a web address, choose which language they actually get billed in. That's quite a nice little feature which allows you to pick the language in which your invoice appears. Excuse me. You can enter in their company registration number, their VAT number, and add in their bank account as well if that's necessary. Under settings, we've then got payment terms over here, so we can change the payment terms. Remember, this is a drop-down menu, so if you want to change any of that, you simply right-click, and that will take you through changing it. You've then got customer settings, so you can click into customer, and you've got all the settings surrounding the customer. Things like the head office feature, so which I talked about before. This is where you actually enable it. You've then got batch invoicing down at the bottom. We've also then got the second line here, which you can see says supplier is available because we've ticked them as a supplier. So we can then click into supplier itself, and we can see the different settings. We can see our own customer number if that should be necessary for the supplier, and also the double entry nominal code, which we can select a nominal code from our list there. So for example, if I was looking at my supplier, which is I don't know, T-Mobile, T-Mobile is always going to be an expense to my mobile phone account, so I can select that here to try and save me time a little bit later on when I'm actually putting my purchases through. So if you take time and you actually set things up properly, the system works very, very efficiently, and there's very little to go back and to re-enter data and things of that nature. So that really is how the contact management system works within the program. The best thing to do really is to go into the sample company file, download the latest software if you haven't done so already. You do have 45 days to play with it before you start entering it in your own data. Have a play with it, get used to all the different fields, and I'm sure you'll be fine once you've done that. Now there are a couple of other things that I'd like to talk about before we finish today. First of all, just about the emails. Now, obviously we can create letters in the way that I've shown you already, but you may wish to actually create emails and email templates. So over here we've got new email. So when I click into that, you can see that I get this new email editor that comes up. So I've obviously got a to field in which I could click and I could pull through addresses from the contacts. I can add attachments, I can put in a subject, and then I simply type into the field whatever email it is that I want to send. What I also have are these templates, and you can see that I've got 3 there at the moment. One says welcome, have a nice summer, and thank you. So if I choose have a nice summer, you can see that there is a little template that's been written here. So how can we access those templates, and how can we create those? So those are actually done from View at the very top. We go to View, we go to Email, and there you can see I have got email templates. And over here it allows me to create a new template. So I click New, I give it a name, so let's say call it January sale offer. So maybe in the subject I want to call it 10% discount in January. I can then add any attachments that I want. I'm just adding an attachment to show you how that's done. And then I can go ahead and actually type out my email. Okay, so I'm not going to bother typing out the whole email. I'll just write a one-liner. So simply what I do is I click save onto that email. Obviously it's not going to anyone, it's just saving the template. So I just come out of that and you can see that my January sale offer has then been created. When I then go to email, I can then choose the person that I want this to go to. So if I choose Nestle, I can see that I've got Joe Blogs. If I choose Mars, I can see that I can have John Smith there. So let's just send it to Mars. I can then put in any attachments. I can choose my template. So you can see it pulls all that information from the system, so I don't need to go in and retype any of that. In fact, did I choose a person to send it to? I didn't. There we go. So now it's going to be sending it to John Smith. Simply to send the email, all I do is I click send email, and that goes away and sends the email through Outlook. Okay, so that's how the emailing side of things works and how the contacts work. The last thing that I wanted to show you were the settings surrounding the contact module. So I'm just going into the company settings. Over here you can see that we can change the words of a lot of the different fields: status, line of business, category, partner, private, and then we also have another one that you can bring in, which is called user-defined fields. You can call that whatever you want. We can set default values for new contacts. So maybe I always offer 30 days term, so I want that to be set as a default. Delivery method, I always use UPS, so I can select that. I can select the language. I can select the payment reminders or factoring and things of that nature. So just to try and speed up data entry a little bit later on. I also then have my user settings, which we had a brief look at before. We've got the simple, normal, and advanced. Under the contact register, we can also select default values to mark them as customers. Remember, this is per user, not per the company. So this will only be for me. I can customize it to whatever my job role is. I can automatically open the contact list when I open the contact card, things of that nature. I can mark in the reference fields always myself, because I'm always the one that deals with them, things of that nature. Line of business, well, I only deal with food people, so I'll just select foods there, and under tab we've seen the different tabs that we can select. Under contact list we can decide which columns are actually displayed, so these are the most relevant ones. You can tick others if you wish, but basically these settings allow you to go in and make some changes which help speed up data entry later on. So that's the contact management. Are there any questions? Any questions being brought out? Just to let you know, there are some other courses as well that go through the details of other areas of the program. Tomorrow we're starting with product management in the morning, and in the afternoon tomorrow we're going through the sales and invoicing. We've then got accounting basics on Wednesday morning and e-commerce in the afternoon. Remember also we do run classroom-based courses both in London and in Manchester. These courses actually allow you hands-on experience going through certain tasks and practicing the information with a teacher. You get to ask your questions, etc. Please do go onto our website to find out more about these courses. I've put my email address up on the screen. If you should have any problems, then please do feel free to contact me. Otherwise, thank you very much for participating. I hope you've got something out of it. Okay, I don't really understand. Okay, so Susan has said that Ashkan has been asking questions, but they've all been going to attendees. Am I getting them? I'm not actually. I don't know what questions were asked. Maybe they were sent to different participants and not me. If Ashkan can ask them again, if he puts them into ask me, you can change the person who you're actually sending them to. Okay, alert is working again on the invoices. Could you please explain your question again? Don't really understand. Do the alerts work on the invoices? So in terms of chasing payment or looking out for invoices and things like that? That's what I'm assuming you're asking about. Yes, you can have those all set up as alerts. You simply, when at the time of processing the sale, etc., you actually mark them also as an activity as well. So you will also get that alert or alarm that will come up for all these different types of things. So there's absolutely no problem in doing that. That will be shown during the other course in the sales and invoicing course. Does that answer your question? Okay, excellent. Any other questions then, please? Okay, it looks like that's all the questions for now. Well, thank you very much for participating. As I said right at the beginning, I will be sending you a recording of this. The recording won't be prepared for a couple of hours, but as soon as it is, I will then email you a link to it. You'll be able to view that for the next couple of months, and you'll be able to fast forward and rewind and go through it and obtain the information again and again if you wish. Okay, thank you very much. I now draw this meeting to a close. Thank you.